Sing our next song, which is number 114 in your red book. You want to follow along there, or you can see the words out here. The 114 in your red book. You want to follow along. Oh gosh, I'm gonna feel it. No steam. You're gonna have to sing loud. You're gonna have to play the melody too. Go ahead and have a seat and we'll continue with this one.
Will the prayer chapel please do the prayer box roll?
We keep the prayer box in the back there. By the picture there, so that we can put our prayers in there, usually fairly discreetly, but it's convenient, it's in the service, or in the congregation. And then we bring it out on Sunday, bless the prayers that are in there, followed by sending them to Silent Unity to be prayed over for a month. These prayers we hold up as concerns by individuals. We hold them up into the wholeness that is divine order, and so be it.
Amen.
The word for today is relax. And the affirmation is, I give my mind and body permission to rest and relax. Let us say this together. I give my mind and body permission to rest and relax. For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure even to eat. While these words of scripture were written long ago, they actually describe the frantic, swarming pace of life we, so many people, find themselves experiencing today. The invitation from Jesus to rest, to visit a desert place to rest, speaks directly to my soul. While I may not be by an ocean shore or on a forested mountain top, I can go to a desert place that is always available to me. At first, declaration and practice are needed to journey inward and find my way to silent peace. I learned to stop and give my mind and body permission to relax. I come to know relaxation is worthy of my time, vital for my self-care, and essential for my personal and spiritual growth. And the scripture is from Psalms 23, 2 and 3. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul.
And now for our sacred Lord's Prayer. And we are exploring different versions of the Lord's Prayer. So we'll say the traditional one first, followed by our new Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. O brothers of the gospel, focus your life within us and make it peaceful. Create your reign of unity now. Your one desire in the vast powers, as in all light, so in all forms. Grant us what we need each day in bread and insight. Loose the cords of the stakes binding us, as in all light, so in all forms. Grant us what we need each day in bread and insight. Loose the cords of the stakes binding us, as we release the strands we hold of others' guilt. Don't let surface things delude us, but free us from what holds us back. From you is born all will and will, the power and the life to do, the song that unifies all. From age to age it renews. I affirm this with my whole being.
So if you would just touch your heart for a moment and maybe close your eyes if it feels right to you. Take a deep breath. Check out what's in that heart this morning. Is there room in there for God's love light to fill it up? Just notice. Don't try to change it. Just be aware. Just be present. And just allow your whole self to feel how your heart is right now in this moment. And take another deep breath. Just allow this moment to be a part of your reality. Just invite all of us to be here now, in this moment, in this present time, in this place, in this holy sanctuary together. And as you feel what's there in the heart, notice that love is always a part of us. God's love light never leaves us. Sometimes we're not aware of it because we get caught up in other things. But I invite you to open your heart enough to allow God's love light to come in and flow through you, enlivening and enlightening every cell of your body. Feel how that feels to your whole body. And then notice there's others here in this room. Could we allow our love light to flow out to each and every one, to connect ourselves together, to create a field of love light, so that for the rest of this service we bask together in God's love, God's light, as the source of our being. And just sit for a moment and feel how it feels to be together in this space. And we'll have a few moments of silence as we feel it together. I invite you once more to touch into your heart and come back fully present in this space. Be with everyone who's here right now. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning. And I see so many beautiful, beautiful faces. And I'm honored to be leading this service right now. I wanted to start with a quote from Desmond Tutu. Those people who know me well know that all the big peace giants are my mentors and gurus, if you want to say there is such a thing as a guru. Peace in its most fundamental form is the connection of one human spirit to another. And my beautiful friend Pam Hurdy sent me that just a few days ago in a card, and thank you. It just gave me the perfect opening for this talk. So I just want to ask, do you feel the paradigm shift that's happening on this planet? Do you feel like something's shifting and something's changing, that there's some surprises in store? Do you feel like you're making any contribution to the new paradigm? How many of us walked in here this morning with an awareness of peace, of the dire need for peace on this planet? I'd say most of us. So I shifted my talk a little bit. You know, years ago when I took Toastmasters, they said don't ever change your talk at the last minute. They didn't know about spirit, I don't think. The spirit said peace is where we must begin. And it must begin here, inside each one of us. And I know all of you know that. So I'm just kind of a little reminder to tweak it a little bit. So this shift that we're in, there's a lot of buzz in my communications anyway, about how there is a new dawning of reverence for life, for the divine, for the earth, and for the people in it, and all of the life that's here. And maybe we don't see it always with our eyes, but can we feel it with our heart? And can we join in that reverence, that movement into a new spirituality? There's a lot of clatter about religions are going to fall by the wayside. Well, God's still going to be here no matter what we call it, no matter where we go, God's still here. So let's just think about it in terms of if religion needs to fall away, okay, let it. But that doesn't change our spiritual nature. And it doesn't change when we come together to share who we are together. But a lot of things may change. A lot of things that have been familiar may change. And as it does, it's really our important task, I think, is to remind ourselves that I am a child of God and I am connected to Source. And Source is where I get my inspiration. Source is where I get my energy. Source is where I get all the good that I have. It comes from Source. And everything that we do to share with another person in the spirit of Source love adds to the building of this new spirituality, this new paradigm on this planet. So back in the, I think in the 70s, I was introduced to the work of Robert Fulghum. Anybody here aware of Robert Fulghum? Okay, good. I got one fan over there, maybe. At least I hope you're a fan. Robert Fulghum has many, many descriptions for himself, but he was a Unitarian minister for a while. And he's a deep philosopher. He has a degree in philosophy. He's still alive, by the way. He's 87 years old. And at the age of 87, somebody asked him, why do you still write? Don't you just think you might want to retire? So I want to read you his response, and I want us all to think about it in relation to maybe ourselves. Why do I continue writing? Just to be useful. Often without realizing it, we fill important places in each other's lives. It's that way with the guy at the corner grocery, with the mechanic at the local garage, with the family doctor, with teachers, co-workers, and neighbors. Good people who are always there, who can be relied on in small, ordinary ways. Catch that, small, ordinary ways. People who, by example, teach us, bless us, encourage us, support us, uplift us in the dailiness of life. And I want to be one of those, he says. So when I became a Robert Fulghum fan, I followed his work for a long time, and one of the things that I appreciate about him, maybe more than anything else, is he took ordinary life, day-to-day experiences, and he wove them into meaningful stories, and he wrote about them. And some of you who may not know the name Robert Fulghum probably know there was a lot of publicity, a lot of posters, a lot of people talking about all I really need to know I learned in kindergarten. He was the author of that. And he admitted a few years later that it was pretty naive for being out in the world. But it was fundamental civil ways that we treat each other, and it was mostly about respect and how we are together in any situation with each other. And it was cute, and there was a lot of truth in it. But he went on to make a lot more meaningful things. But based on what he said here about why he continues to write and about the ordinary day-to-day things, I would like to ask you, what are some of the little things that you do already in your life to spread a little light out there in the world? One of the things I do is when I walk out in the neighborhood, I try to just mentally be present with this house or that house or the other house. I don't see a lot of people usually at the times that I walk. Sometimes I do. But I try to just send a blessing from my heart to that house. I don't know who lives there. It doesn't matter. We are all each other anyway. So what we give, we get. So I'd like to know, what is it that you do? Little things, little acts of kindness. You know the old cliche of, you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours? That's something we all know how to do. Anywhere, anytime. What else? Yes?
Well, I've done this for years. Not to say that I'm perfect at it, but I try to, when I see an ambulance or hear an ambulance, to pray for whoever is involved with that.
Right, and I'd like to point out that what she just described, nobody may ever know that. But it does make an impact. Thank you, Maria. Yes?
The world needs help in the place that we live is trashed.
Can you say that a little bit louder?
The world needs help in the place that we live is trash.
Because there's trash in the world and the world needs help for us to clean it up. So it's easy if we go for a walk to take a bag and put trash in it as we go. These days I wear a glove if I do that though, and I actually have to confess, I haven't done it in a long time. I don't live in a trashy neighborhood very much, but on occasion I do see it, and most of the time the people throw it in my driveway. I think, I don't know why.
Sometimes people throw trash in our driveway.
Yeah. They're not very respectful to the earth when they do that. They're not very respectful to the people who live in the house when they do that. So what I'm asking is, how can we be more loving? How can we be more respectful? How can we shine our light? Yes?
I like to wave to people that I may or may not know when I'm driving. Just wave. And quite often they wave back.
And I have to say, that's a kind of a southern hospitality thing. There's some places you don't do that. Yes?
On my block, I literally visit every elder there is once or twice a week.
Wonderful,
in
Will.
person. They
See,
really appreciate that.
Visit takes some time, and not everybody has the time, but when we do, a visit means a lot, especially to somebody who doesn't have any network of friends. That's wonderful. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes?
Yeah, like just hold the door open for somebody, wait and hold the door open.
Right, and if you hold the door for me, what is the thing I could do?
Thank you.
Thank you, and smile. Yes. See how lovely it can be? Yes, Amy.
When you go to fast food restaurants, the grocery store, always tell the cashier or the server, thank you for your hard work. I appreciate it. Because they don't hear that.
They don't hear it much, you're right.
And
And it's something we all can do, especially in the fast food places because they're busy, but you can say thank you as they go by. Or if they're really stopping for a moment, you can say a little more. And people want to be seen. Everybody wants to be seen, and they want to be felt. And that's a way we can do it, is by simple courtesies like that. Anything else? Yes?
Just when cars are passing by, because I'm at home most times, and if I'm out on the porch and I see a car passing by, I send a blessing to that car.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yes?
And I always try and greet everyone with a smile.
Yes.
And anytime they ask me how I'm doing, I always say, absolutely wonderful. And to see them smile back is
You know, and I started adding to that, especially in the grocery store, because umpteen people will ask you how you are, and I say, I'm great, how are you? And they're shocked, because nobody ever asks them. Anything else? I know there's lots and lots more. Yes?
Assume good intentions from others. We don't always know where people are coming from, and so it helps to assume they're coming from a place like we would be. And just helps keep things
Yes, thank you.
more peaceful.
You know, I was listening to Dr. Michael Beckwith this week, and he had a little metaphor. And he said, if you put a lot of people in a dark room, and you give only one of them a match, and that person lights the match, the whole room benefits from it.
Right.
The light doesn't have any prejudice, though I'm not going over there because that person doesn't deserve me. The light is simply available to us. So I'd like to tell you a story, and I need my little book because this is Robert Fulghum's little book, one of them. He wrote many books, but this one is one I'm going to touch on today. He talks about going to Crete for a 2-week session one summer. And he was attending something about goodwill, peace, harmony, you know, those kinds of things at the Orthodox Academy of Crete. And he was privileged to meet one of the founders of that academy, whose name was Alexander Papaderos. And I have to admit, before Robert Fulghum, I never heard the name before. So I didn't know who he was. So I actually got online to find him. There's several things that are similar to him, so you really have to spell it right, I learned. But he really was an amazing man. And I want to give you a little bit of his story because it fits together when you hear from Robert Fulghum and from Alexander. So he was born in 1933. He was a child when the Germans invaded Crete and became occupiers of Crete. He was in a small rural town, really not even a town, just a few villagers, I think. But all of the people in Crete that were affected by this invasion got together their table knives and their we call it scythes that they use, that they can give that, well, no, it's called a scythe actually. Yeah, that they harvest the wheat or the grains. And so they put up a pretty good resistance, but ultimately Germans came in and they were defeated. Alexander, as a small child, was trained to be a messenger of the resistance. At the age of I'm sorry, it makes me emotional to think about it. At the age of 10, he went to a concentration camp because of his service to his own community. Ultimately, most of the villages were cleared by lining up the people and shooting them and burying them in a mass grave. And the ones that were left had such deep hatred that it seemed there could never be a bridge ever again. So the founding of this academy was for the express purpose, and I'm going to try to say this word, it's a new word for me, rapprochement. Rapprochement is a French word that assists in regaining harmony, especially between countries. And his vision, Papaderos' vision, was to have this building of the academy where you could see the grave, the one grave with the one cross of the people that were all buried in a mass grave. And you could also see on the other side the German graves of the paratroopers who were killed. And that was an intentional way of bringing people to this middle ground and working together. So with that as a backdrop, come back now to Robert Fulghum, who attended this 2-week session. And when the 2 weeks was over, there were lots of exchanges. There were lots of people from all over Greece who spoke, and Papaderos was the facilitator. So at the end, the very last moment of the very last day, Papaderos walks from the back of the room to the front, and he stares out the window at both of the scenes. And then he turns to the group and he says, "Are there any questions?" And I don't know if you've ever been in those kind of groups, but usually that's a rhetorical question. Are there any questions? And nobody wants to ask any because it's the end of everything. They're ready to go. But he paused, and Robert Fulgham said, "What is the meaning of life?" And Papaderos looked at him very intently to see if he was asking a serious question. And when he could see that it was a serious question, he told the chucklers, "Okay, please be still, be quiet. I'm going to answer this question." So as a boy, he was walking along the country road, and he came across the scene where a motorcycle had wrecked and had broken the mirror of the motorcycle. And as a little boy, his first thought was, I can gather all these pieces together and I can make this a whole mirror again. But he quickly saw that he couldn't do that. So he picked out the largest piece, and over the days of growing up, years of growing up, he kept that piece and he would rub it on a stone until one day it became a round disc of a mirror. He put it in his wallet, and as he spoke, he pulled out his wallet many, many years later, and he pulled out this little mirror that he had kept. And he said, and I'm going to read you what he said because I couldn't say it very well. I couldn't say it as eloquently as he did. He said, "The metaphor for what I might do with my life was shown to me. I came to understand that I am not the light or the source of light, but light, truth, understanding, and knowledge is there, and it will only shine in many dark places as I reflect it. I am a fragment of a mirror whose whole design and shape I do not know. Nevertheless, with what I have, I can reflect light into the dark places of this world, into the black places in the hearts of man, and change some things in some people. Perhaps others may see and do likewise. This is what I am about, and this is the meaning of my life." And with that, he took his little mirror out of his wallet, where he had it already out, and he reflected the light onto the hands of Robert Fulgham, who was sitting listening. And it was such an impact that to this day, he would say that he never remembers anything that he got in that session, that 2 weeks session, but that last piece changed his life. The first time I read that, I remembered it, and I went back years later to reread it. And after I did the peace pole movement in this town, this is my little prayer table peace pole. And on it I have a little disc to remind me that I need to shine my light the best I can in little ordinary ways every day. I don't have to build an academy. I don't have to make a congregation of believers do anything I say. But I am asked to be who I am and to shine my light. So I brought something today that I want to give you. As a little reminder for you, as you go through this year, perhaps this will remind you that the true meaning of life is shining your light and mirroring who you are to the world. So I know it takes a minute to get these out, but it's so important that we have little things to remind us of who we really are. And so think every time I hand one out, please remember that you are the light. That's okay, I'm going to get through here. And you know, it doesn't matter what size your light is. It really doesn't. Your light is just as bright when source light shines on it and through it as anybody else's. You're welcome. I should have just put these in my hand. It would have made it a lot easier. We live and learn. That's fine. You can share it. I'm going to give you another one. Don't worry, Mike, I didn't forget you. I got one for you. Thank you. And Barry, I didn't forget you too.
He's definitely right.
You are the light, each one of you. And I want you to please remember that as you go through this year and do little things, little ordinary things. And I want to end with a Bible verse, a short Bible verse in the Lanza interpretation of the New Testament, John chapter 9, verse 5. And I didn't bring the whole book because it's so quick. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world.
We're going to go ahead and sing a light in this world.
If you want to stand
I
up.
am, you are, and we are. I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. You may have a seat. We'll continue with you.
All right. So just think about that we are each the light shining in this world. So take out your piece of tissue paper now. And if you've got something written there that you want to release, so it is. And if not, think about your light. Think about if there's anything that might be blocking your light from shining in this world. Let that be what you write down on that paper. That is what we will release to the universe today, this morning.
So Reverend Carol years ago said, take this little tissue, just twist it a little bit, and then give it to the Christ light because the Christ light transforms. And then drop it in the bowl, and that is gone forever to be transformed into light. And the other little piece that I just wanted to make sure everybody understands is, once you have done the burning bowl part, please leave in silence and hold in your heart your intentions as you go.
And don't forget the scroll.
I'm not going to forget. Everybody gets one of these. I'll hand it as you come.
All right. So at your leisure, when you are ready and you feel moved, bring your paper, twist it, light it on fire in the Christ candle, and drop it in the bowl. Namaste.
And this is just a little reminder of who you really are.
Oh, and as you leave, your envelope with the other paper, write down your vision for the future, for the year coming. Place it in the offering basket with your offering this morning on your way out.